Number 3. I found my wife's secret Google account and I'm sick to my stomach. Obligatory sorry for mobile formatting. I, M36, met my wife Bailey F33 9 years ago through mutual coworkers and we hit it off immediately. I absolutely fell head over heels with this woman. She was everything I was looking for. I had gotten out of a toxic, dare I say abusive, long-term relationship right before that with a woman Bailey had been acquainted with, but not friends with. I had blocked her on everything and had no contact with her since breaking up. We got married right after the tail end of the pandemic, bought our first house together and started trying to conceive. That was difficult because Bailey had PCOS, but last year she finally gave birth to our first daughter. I'm having a blast being a dad. It's kind of a dream come true. I finally got my happy life with my perfect wife. My perfect wife until last Monday. My laptop's battery shit the bed, so I opened up Bailey's work tablet with an attached keyboard. You can set it up like a monitor to check on some text stuff. She wasn't home, it was just me and the baby, but we've never asked permission to use each other's devices. We've always been open like that. There's nothing for us to hide. That's what I thought. When I opened up the internet, I noticed she had the incognito tab open. Never in a million years did I expect to discover what I did. My wife has a secret Google account with a photo album saved called 𝓣𝓮𝓮. So I clicked on it. Did I discover an affair? Nudes? Nope. In this Google album there were over 300 photos, 348 actually, of my ex. The woman I was with right before I met Bailey. The woman who tormented me and made me feel worthless. The album said it was started back right around the time Bailey and I started dating, and was updated as recently as 2 weeks ago. The photos range from candid shots with family to pictures at her work functions. There were even pictures from her yearbook. I don't know how Bailey could have found her high school yearbook photos. Photos from vacations, ID photos from work, pictures of her in crowds, screenshots of videos, and screen recordings of videos. Just her. The other people in the photos would be scribbled out, or the photo would be cropped and zoomed in on my ex. There were other disturbing things I found too. There was another album with just zoom out pictures of my ex's hair. Come to think of it, Bailey had recently started wearing her hair different, and my ex had a very identifiable hair type. There was another album with screenshots of comments on social media. Of course, I can't find them because I have her blocked. Like Facebook groups she's been in and public posts. And my ex is very low-key on social media. I can't imagine the lengths Bailey went to find them. My ex literally lives in another country now. There were also different links to the exact outfits she was wearing, like very specific blouses and trousers you'd have to really go look for to find. A specific water bottle I remember her purchasing, and identical hiking boots and sandals. So basically, my partner of almost a decade has been single, white femaling my ex-girlfriend, has secretly stalked her to the point of buying her exact clothes and changing her hair, and now I'm starting to realize Bailey's new interests over the years were just my ex's. Bailey has turned herself into my ex. Everything feels like a lie. Our love feels like a lie. The things we share feel like a lie. I threw up and had a panic attack. I looked at our daughter and felt betrayed. I haven't confronted her yet. I don't know if I want to. I want to run away with our daughter. I want to print out all her pictures, leave them on the table and disappear. I don't know what to do. I just want to throw up. Number 2. I found out something disturbing about my boyfriend. Hi guys, first time posting here. So I've been in a relationship with my BF for 6 months. and I'm the happiest I've ever been with a man. He is truly a wonderful man, he spoils me rotten, gives me support, attention and love. I trust and love him dearly for who he is. We are honest and discuss lots of very personal topics together, as we all do in a relationship, I suppose, and there aren't many taboos between us. To give some context to my story, I know he got into a pretty serious car accident years before we met, and he told me he had pretty serious injuries following this event, including half of his face being destroyed and reconstructed via surgery. It's absolutely impossible to tell if he doesn't tell you. I was shocked when he told me because it's truly invisible and looks very natural. Anyway, I never thought much of it after he told me, but I always noticed strange products and things in his bedroom. Like there was always a bowl in the sink, for example, which I never asked about because I assumed it was for shaving. Anyway, today I'm coming home a bit earlier than expected, and I rush in the bathroom to pee because I had a big urge to go, lol. My BF was taking a nap in our room. As I entered the bathroom very fast, I noticed the bowl, a full set of false teeth soaking in water and some cleaning product. I had to take a double look at it, because I wasn't expecting this at all. I was pretty shocked at how big the dentures were. Like, by the size of it, it meant he basically didn't have any teeth left. Then I hear my BF waking up quickly and entering the bathroom, probably not expecting me to be home so quickly. He looks at me in shame and takes the bowl with the dentures with him and lets me finish peeing. After I'm done, I get out of the bathroom and we both stand awkwardly in the bedroom. He says defensively I don't need to pretend like I didn't see. I said I don't mind his fake teeth, as it's honestly pretty logical for him to have fake teeth following his accident, but that it still surprised me because he never told me anything about it before. He said he was very ashamed and never told anybody, but that he was concerned about my reaction, so he hid it from me. He asked if it was bothering me, and that he'd understand if it did. I told him I didn't feel any different towards him and loved him regardless. And honestly, I do. Like, whatever if he has fake teeth, I never even noticed, and I mean that. But wow, I don't know how to feel because he just hid it from me all this time. It feels surreal, like how did he take care of it without me noticing? The fact that he had to calculate this behind my back somehow makes me feel a mix of bad and scared. I don't know guys, I still love my boyfriend and I really don't care about his teeth. But I still feel a bit odd about this situation. He said he would like to change this topic after I told him I loved him anyway. And I feel like it's going to be a taboo topic from now on. Anyway, I just had to get this off my chest for real, lol. Any kind words or advice being encouraged. Number 1. The most disturbing patients I ever treated as a child psychologist is now training to become a surgeon. About 20 years ago, I was working as a child psychologist in a small town and had a 6-year-old patient referred to me for mandatory counseling by the school. Although I only worked with her for a few sessions, and this was years ago, she was probably the child who disturbed me the most to this day. She was originally referred for graphic pictures she drew in class of people being maimed or killed. She did not have exposure to violence or violent media at home, so these were entirely the product of her imagination. She was also somehow involved in an accident, where another child was seriously hurt under unclear circumstances, but she could not be concretely tied to what happened. I found out that she had vivid fantasies of cutting living things open, and at times had actually acted out these fantasies on small animals. She told me freely, like she was proud of it. She also tested at a college reading level at 6 years old. There were multiple times where she would say things that even took me a second to follow, that suggested both a quickness and a grasp of double meaning and nuance that would be considered far beyond what was developmentally expected for her age. The parents were white-collar immigrants in a stable and supportive household, but there was clearly some cultural barrier because they kept saying she was good because she was smart and tested high. They didn't seem to understand when I tried to explain that being good academically and being well-behaved or moral were not the same thing. Most disturbingly, I noticed they were, intentionally or unintentionally, teaching her masking behaviors to conceal these impulses or get what she wanted by manipulating others rather than putting herself at risk, without actually addressing the underlying problem. It becomes very hard to intervene on children who have learned these behaviors because they keep escalating while flying under the radar until they do something they can no longer get away with, as older teens or adults and the legal systems comes down on them. I strongly recommend it both to the parents and the school that they should pursue further and do more intensive counseling for their daughter than I could provide. At the time, I had a colleague who was piloting an inpatient program for intervening early on younger children with extremely disturbing impulses, who I gave them the contact for. The parents did not seem open to this at all and abruptly moved away before we had finished our sessions. A couple years later, I also moved to a new city, but I always wondered what happened to her, fearing she had ended up on juvenile hall or worse, prison. Very recently, I caught up with some old colleagues and learned through happenstance that she was now in training to become a surgeon at an elite East school institution. When I found this out, I felt an immediate visceral chill go through me. Someone in that position of trust with that level of intelligence and training has the potential to do a lot of harm, which might not be discovered for years, if ever. Part of me, I'm ashamed to admit, even felt that this was a worse outcome. I feel guilty for having these feelings at all, because they do not accord with my values or training as a professional. I strongly believe people are not at fault for their mental health problems or personality disorders. Such people are far more likely to become the victims of crimes than perpetrators. And I certainly did not believe anyone should be punished or precluded from certain careers because of a perceived predisposition to crime, particularly as a child. I have also had to work hard to undo a lot of the biases that my professors passed on to me in graduate school decades ago that are not based in evidence, such as some people are born psychopaths, a term we no longer use, and are destined to hurt people. I want with every fiber of my being to believe that she received treatment and eventually realized a calling to help people. I want to believe that, but there's a feeling I can't quite escape. Edit. Wow, this blew up much more than I was expecting. Thanks for the upvotes and the comments. I want to clarify that this post is more about me getting my knee-jerk feelings and biases I feel are inappropriate, and didn't realize were in me off my chest, than about my patient who I haven't known for 20 years. I am very familiar with HIPAA, including how to spell it, and nothing here is identifying. I posted anonymously because I can't talk to anyone I know about this, since the additional information about who I am and where I worked could be identifying. I certainly cannot and will not try to interfere with her career as one that is entirely inconsistent with my values and not the kind of professional I want to be. That's actually a perfect example of the paternalistic old generation thinking I mentioned I have to get out of. MH professionals should use our knowledge to make decisions about other people's lives. I had a professor in grad school who frequently bragged that multinational corporations would hire him as a consultant to assess if employees were psychologically suitable for their roles or if they should be terminated / not hired / denied promotion. It later emerged that none of the methodology he was using was sound of evidence based. What am I supposed to say? Hey, medical board, your trainee was my patient. Here is some information from when she was 6. The only possible outcome from that would be a referral to my own board for a violation of patient confidentiality and unprofessional conduct. Edit 2. I really appreciate the feedback pointing out biases I still have that are coming through and ways I still have to grow. Like I said, I constantly try to critically examine my own shortcomings and ensure my professional practice is based on science as much as possible. But this is an endeavor that is never truly finished. For some context, I entered this field decades ago, being taught by and looking up to the faculty who trained in the 60s. The field has become almost unrecognizable since then, and for the better in my opinion. While I do not have much contact with how the current generation is being taught, from what I have seen it is far more open-minded, patient-centered and less judgmental than it was when I trained, which can only be a good thing. I ask that if you choose to participate here, you refrain from using any language that stigmatizes mental health or illness, and that the moderators remove such comments.